Welcome back to set number 4. This time around, we are going into teams that no longer have placements for HRX. We have the 4 teams that are going to be going. It is going to be whether or not they can get the seeding that they want. This is going to be a fight for first seed, a fight to be able to come in technically as the top of the tournament for either FNATIC or Spacestation Gaming. My name is Gormizer, and joining me on the desk before this is going to be Bees and Vox. I mean, how do you guys feel about this set? Like, are you excited to see this one?
I really am. I think this is one of the most hyped sets that we're going to see, guys, especially because we got this FNATIC team, who we were expecting them to maybe come out of this looking at that first or seed second spot, but now they're going up against SSG, who have just shone out everybody's expectations here. They're now in this first or second seed spot as well. We might have a great international representation for our overall 5th seed at the HRX Paladins World Championship, if we're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, Spacestation have played phenomenal all tournament, and then FNATIC has actually showed up really well this tournament as well. They haven't had their typical land nerves, and they've performed phenomenally well. So I think it could be a really, really good set.
Well, if we take a look at the bracket, we'll be able to see exactly the path these teams had to take to get here, both of them being in the winner's bracket, so you don't even have to jump to the bottom to see what was going on. FNATIC and Space Station there, your top 2 teams going into HRX, beating out Virtus.pro Armada to get through here. And, of course, Space Station having a little bit of a longer run, having to go up against Mouse, unfortunately, first there for Bees. But a lot that has been coming into this. And one of the things I actually think you had said yesterday when I was asking you about this set was that SSG up to this point have been tested but not truly tested. Now it's time to see how they go up against the big boys.
Yeah.
And I feel like FNATIC is kind of deserving of the title big boys now.
Oh, definitely. Compared to their online phase, they've improved massively since the end of the PPL, and I think they're back to the spot that they were in, say, like the first or second season, and where they were really pushing very phenomenally.
Goodness me, it's like they stopped picking triple DPS when it usually doesn't work, folks. Like they've actually gone back to, and that's the thing, FNATIC have gone back to what they know works. They're not trying as many things. We wondered if maybe against Kanga they'd see if, or earlier in the bracket, if FNATIC could maybe try something a little bit different here. They're just going with reliability at this point, and I like that security, folks. I think that reliability is so important, just making sure that you secure your place and you just get to Worlds before you accidentally throw it away.
Well, both teams were able to pretty much close out their sets in about 20 minutes yesterday. They were having a clean run today. They're trying to, well, if you're FNATIC, trying to run it just as fast, and we actually have Thiel standing by to kind of give thoughts into what the team is thinking, feeling going into this set, and how they feel about HRX as well.
It's Deb. Hi, everybody. Welcome here to the team booth of FNATIC. I'm here with Thiel, the model / sub / coach / emotional support dog for Team FNATIC here. How are the guys feeling? This is not a elimination game. I think that alleviates a lot of pressure, but this is important for seeding, right? You know, the better you do here, the further away you get to stay from Navi in the bracket.
I think so. I think if we get first seed, we are still on Navi's side or the other way around. But honestly, it doesn't really matter to us. We're just playing for practice. We're just playing for realsies because it's all, you know, from here on out, it's all tough matches and important games. So.
How does the preparation for a game like this one change? Because you're not going home, right? It is just that seeding. You know, obviously Space Station Gaming has proven themselves to be a very formidable opponent and one that you want to respect here. But are you guys going to be pulling out any pocket strats to win this strat? Like, how hard will you go for this win?
I mean, I think we are going all the way for the win. As far as pocket strats go, I mean, we haven't played Brazil much as we have played EU or NA teams before. So if we do have pocket strats, which I'm not going to say, we're probably going to keep them on the low key until the actual playoffs start in DreamHack.
Awesome. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on the rest of the guys that have made it through in this tournament? How has this event shaped up to your expectations?
I expected exactly these 4 teams to be here. The games were closer than I thought. I mean, SK almost beating VP would have been a massive upset. Exciting game, though.
Yeah.
I think Armada got pretty far, but they also had pretty easy opponents compared to other teams. So that does say something. But I think the 4 teams we have right now are the 4 teams most people, including myself, expected to be here.
What are your keys to victory for beating Space Station? They've kind of, you know, looked relatively unstoppable here, but FNATIC is a team that I don't think anyone expected to do anything less than first place at this event. And I think coming in second to them would set a big precedent going into Worlds.
I think SSG and Kanga are one of those teams that you don't see too much of because, you know, they don't play weekly in PPL. Right. So the best thing we can do against them is just play our own game and do what we know works against the average team, so to speak, and just play normal.
All right, well, you heard it here first, guys. We're going to send it back over to the desk and get ready for the set.
A lot of good words, I want to say there from Thiel, being able to come into this. It definitely seems like the team is feeling pretty confident. I mean, at this point, there's nothing really feel unconfident about, considering there's no elimination, no worry of not going to HRX. It's just figuring out what seed you really want to come in on. That was important to teams like Virtus.pro, which we can get into the next set, where it's just third, fourth does matter. It's NV or Na'Vi that you end up going against. Do you want to play NAEU? Same thing here. You get to do NIP or G2, so it is going to make a big difference for them. But I'm more excited for this set just because we finally get to see the Blasters go up against each other. I mean, it's Fasheko, it's FRZ God. How do you think that's going to kind of fare throughout this game?
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how they try and ban them out. Maybe like they just get rid of the Blasters altogether. I don't know. I wouldn't want to have either one of them against me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we'll see a little bit less in the way of Blasters this set, guys, and I think we might see more of the different flank picks come on through, because once you start banning those out, we know that it's Fasheko that might be going on to something like the Androxus as well as FRZ God. We might see a Xin come through, and Eevee is definitely up there. Still, technically, a Blaster does deal AoE damage. God, that's a bit of a throwback at this point. What iteration was it of closed beta when we actually had that like Blaster versus direct damage dealer categorization? Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was a long time ago.
Far too long.
And then we also had fast damage and slow damage and like big damage and small damage. Oh man, Haven used to mitigate damage which was below a certain threshold value. I think it was maybe 600 or something, and blast shields was big damage. So yeah, oh my, that's a
blast from the past.
That is a
Vox
real
is,
blast from the
sitting
past.
here reminiscing about what's
Hello.
been going on. Are those your nightmares? Like you stay up at night worried about reverting back to the old days of the old beta?
You know, Gore, I'm less having sort of this sort of historical record here. I'm less of a historian, more of a, oh god, oh god, oh god. Every time I remember one, it's just like, oh, it's sending me the flashbacks. Oh, gather buck. Ah, King and Queen of the Hill, Fernando. Ah. Either way, I'm definitely expecting this game, again, Blaster control is going to be important in the bans. So are front lines. Notably, in the last set that we just saw, with Kanga and Armada, Ying was early prioritized by Kanga in that second pick state, where they're able to get it in both games overall. We've now seen a little bit more flexibility from FNATIC right now. They're picking stuff like the Torvald, they're picking more of these flanks, and I'm wondering how much this Ying is going to have an impact now we're into these higher skill level games.
Well, earlier on in their drafting phases, SSG didn't seem to worry too much about it. Do you think that because this has become kind of a higher echelon game, this has taken that step up bees, that Ying is going to be maybe a little bit more important to them? Because before they were just foregoing it and grabbing the Maldamba any chance they got.
I don't know, it's kind of difficult. It's very map dependent as well, whether the Ying or the Maldamba becomes more potent. Like, if you need a map, like say for example, Bright Marsh, that is kind of more heavily dependent on CC, then the Maldamba can be the better pickup regardless of the situation. And then if you look at games or maps where there's like lack of line of sight, maybe like a Jaguar Falls, then the Ying can be very potent because she can place the illusions in areas that she doesn't need to look anymore and know that those areas are now safe for her team. And also the ultimate gives the consistent healing across the board, across the whole map.
Well, it will be Serpent Beach first for the folks for the first pick. Jag Falls and Frozen Guard taken off the table with FNATIC. Fish and Ice Mines for the side of Spacestation Gaming. And this is FNATIC's map pick, as I've come to understand. They are the highest seed coming into this matchup. And as a result, we're going to see more of the same, I think. We've seen FNATIC kind of dominate this so far. Previously, the biggest one for me was when we had Torvald Eevee as a combination. That's got to be something which Spacestation can't afford to let through at all. That has got to be off the table in the champion bans, or Spacestation could be in a great deal of trouble.
Well, you had actually mentioned Eevee earlier, and this is one of the maps we saw Eevee get pulled out by FNATIC, and it was phenomenal when it was brought out. But Drogoz is also very prominent here. Do you expect to see those two, either Blasters, as you had mentioned, maybe banned away, and Eevee making a bigger prominent pick for this map?
I don't know. It's a really tough call to make because either way it works. It depends on what they want.
And I call it, I say that the Eevee is... I would rather let a Drogoz go through and play an Androxus into a Drogoz than I would potentially have to try and fight into an Eevee as Androxus, for example. I think that that's just such a tough matchup there. And we saw it happen again in that FNATIC versus Virtus Pro Serpent Beach game. A Torvald shielded Eevee just wins that fight every single time. Regardless, FNATIC, they snag the first pick though, and counter to everything I'm saying, they say, let's just, you know, this is too good.
Well, I was sitting here kind of hoping to see Fasheko get to play his Drogoz, but FNATIC apparently want to squash all dreams. Maybe they're going for Nick and letting him have some more Eevee play coming through, because I feel like that is probably his favorite combo. But Torvald gets banned away. You had actually mentioned this earlier, Vox. Torvald is something that we started seeing FNATIC get picked up, and it's specifically been played by that player right there. Unbelievable. Do you think that's something that is maybe core to their strategy, or something that honestly it doesn't matter whether they get it or don't.
It's a +1, right? It's a win more thing. If you pick Torvald and you got the strong enough front line to do what you want to, and you got the right composition for it, then it's just win more. You can draft strats entirely around Torvald. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't. It depends how much counter strategy comes on through. But I feel like FNATIC can probably integrate it into most of their lineups relatively securely without giving too much up in response.
They've also been using the Torvald a lot to supplement the Victor. The grenades coming out from Victor with the Torvald shield become absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And then when you get the double proc into double Torvald shield, double grenade, I mean, you can burst out a damage champion without them even being visible to you on the map.
I feel like literally anyone who plays a typical damage player, like if they normally main DPS, is scared of that idea, especially going out into the wild. If you get a duo where it's coming through, one guy playing Victor, one guy playing Torvald, that is something to be worried about in all of your games. But Makoa has come through for FNATIC. Normally this would have been a Thiel pick, but is this still as big of a threat as it used to be, Vox?
I think that Thiel is sweating right now in the background. He's going, guys,
tag out.
Let me sub in, please. But it's kind of Eevee then locked in response for Spacestation Gaming, and I like the early Eevee pick. First of all, it dissuades snipers, it dissuades the Canasta, maybe the Strix, Canasta being more prominent on this map as well. It also, to a degree, dissuades the Victor pick, but this allows FNATIC to just go straight into a Cassie and straight into a Ying as well. They do leave themselves vulnerable to be facing a Willow if they pick the Ying early, which could be dangerous for them. But Space Station, they've already got the Eevee. They're unlikely to run double blaster. And it looks like they might go for point security rather than the Cassie early on, which I'm a little bit more surprised at. But the Ying definitely doesn't come as a shock.
Yeah, Ying has been in that spot more than I think any other champion this land. That is probably just her home at this point. But Barrick coming through second. Do you think Barrick is just as strong bees on Serpent Beach as we've seen in the past, like on Jaguar Falls and other maps like that?
Given the ban from the Inara, the Barrack becomes a lot stronger, and we can also see during the draft at the moment, like there's been a lot of tanks already taken and banned, so the damage is going to be available for FNATIC towards the end anyway, so they don't have to worry too much about taking it. I think the Barrack's going to be a very good pickup here, especially since they have such an aggressive tank already in the Makoa.
Well, the hovering right now is Maldamba and Cassie. Cassie is such an interesting champion right now because I believe actually in this tournament we've seen 3 out of the 4 talents that she has being run. Big game has been more often I think lately, but it is always an option to be able to play with that versatility. Vox, how do you feel about SSG's comp just so far?
I like it. The Cassie was probably going to go to FNATIC, if not over. It's a little bit less vulnerable to the Eevee than other damage champions might be, so stripping that away is a really good move from the Space Station. They look like they're preempting a lot of what FNATIC's draft could be and starting to take it away. Now, FNATIC, they're not scared of this. They're still going to go for the Victor here. They need to draft something that's a little bit defensive here, potentially, or very aggressive flanked. Either mitigate pressure from Eevee onto Victor, or put out equal pressure and maybe draw the Eevee back to the Space Station backline, and it will be the Willow. So burst potential all around, AoE anti-heal, it's hovered and it is locked in, and the composition for FNATIC, it looks great. It just all comes down to how this Eevee performs.
I mean, people have been saying the reason Victor looks so good on FNATIC is just because Bittner's playing it. It's no other reason than that, except for the fact that I think Victor right now is solid. With Ashe being locked in, I'm going to ask both of you, Vox first, then Bees. What team do you have winning this?
I have FNATIC. I think that Space Station, they got to go hard and aggro onto the backline of FNATIC, but we've seen how Bittner performs on this Victor, and I think it's hard to beat.
I have to agree. I like the FNATIC draft far more than I do the Space Station.
Well, so far it's all FNATIC here, orange and black. I guess Nick can keep his jersey on if he wants. Even though it says Kanga, it's still the same colors. Either way, we can jump to the casters right now as we go into game number 1, SSG and FNATIC.
Thanks, guys. On the desk, it's time to get into the winner side of things here at the PWC Qualifier LAN, Rain Day, and Pretty Air, respectively, on the cast for you. And, you know, the most interesting thing is that we get to see 2 teams from cross-region with excellent blaster players in FRZ God and Fisheko go toe-to-toe. This is fun.
They get banned out pretty early and often, though. FNATIC don't ban a single frontline, not a common thing to see during this event. And I think they're a little bit worried about him. I mean, even the Leon performance, you got to be definitely keeping your eye on that one. Our FRZ God, my goodness gracious.
I know. It's a very difficult thing to try to ban out. In fact, I think we're going to see ban phases look a little different for these top teams. They're a caliber onto themselves. There is really no other team that show that they can contend with these 2. And that's why they're fighting for first or second seed. It's going to be the difference between facing G2 or NIP first. And that may be a big difference for both of these teams because it's Europe or North America.
Yeah. At least they don't have to fight Snavi first.
Yeah.
That's the big one for sure.
That's why next matchup means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, not one going home, but this seeding certainly important. because now all eyes are looking forward to DreamHack Atlanta next weekend. No time, no rest for these teams here. They got to keep it moving here, straight to the back line.
Whew.
Couple of poke shots there, but everyone will live.
Are they going to do anything about that? Or, I mean, my boy just went in. Nobody even looked at him. That was a little interesting. Bugsy getting pressured out. FRZ God, not a lot of pressure yet. Fasheko focusing on the front line, as you would expect. But Unbelievable is very low as well. This isn't really looking good for FNATIC. Richao and Space Station Gaming have found both of these 2 early kills.
And I mean, looking where Aries is coming from tells us where he's been. And it's like, how does Gara get picked there? Where was he peeking? Gara looked pretty safely tucked away back on the ramp side. Ock takes down Fasheko as well. FNATIC,
Oh, my.
I don't think really anyone expecting him to go anything but first place in this tournament. So far, though, it's been all SSG.
I mean, this would be the real story, right? If SSG takes second, we'd expect that to be what really went down. But, oh my God, if SSG upset even FNATIC and take first place in the entire land, that would spell a whole different level of preparation, I think, for teams looking to play them. And FRZ God stays alive. He's doing it like the best of them here on Eevee.
I love a good ice block. It just gets milked for everything that it's worth. And yes, FNATIC are trying to kill FRZ God, but you know that point is about to be captured the whole time, and it actually does get ripped through during the ice block. Love what I'm seeing from FRZ God.
So my question is, you know, they didn't prioritize holding down the left flank. FRZ God had a really wide route into the back line. I wonder if that's an adjustment or if that's something they're willingly letting open just to focus down the front line.
It's probably not going to be a big issue for them in the first couple of rounds, but once that Eevee gets cauterized online, that's where it becomes a big issue, where that kill potential, that damage is going to stick. The biggest thing that went wrong with FNATIC was just like, I just got to see that first blood camera, basically. I'm like, how did Gara get taken down there? He is such an important part of this composition, especially in the first round.
Well, we know what happened if FRZ, I mean, he blinks in, he forces them into some very interesting kind of defensive mechanics, and then I think Aries probably pops on left side, I would imagine, and with a blast shot probably cleans him up. I know Aries got that first blood, and that somersault reset's can actually save his life, or at least delay the inevitable, which is unbelievable coming through. But there's some, oh my God, big game in overpower, 1,500 and 1,000 heal means that it's unbelievable who dies. That was pretty unbelievable.
That's the combination we love to see, that I love to see from Khan, man. This bodyguard style, this 1-2 punch, it is vicious. So is that kill, though, on an FRZ guy. That poor man got exploded. And now it's Fasheko looking to push this Cassie in the back line, but miscalculated there. Aries will stay alive. More big damage from Big Game, but he rolls into his own doom.
If I don't see Big Game on every Cassie from now on, I don't know what kind of tournament I'm watching anymore, because this seems to be the most effective thing by far in demonstration and shutting down these front lines. It's essentially it's almost a 2-shot execute, right? Because it's just so much damage. You're defensive. You're not playing offense anymore if you get hit twice with that.
Yeah, it's a 3 or 4 shot. It's an easy 1 clip of ammunition. That's the big thing. And now Tenor under some trouble. This payload inches from conversion. Ancient Rage is here, but you know Unbelievable doesn't want to use that in the first round, and he will not. 2-0 lead for Space Station Gaming over FNATIC.
I mean, that was clinical. That was dominant. This is the FNATIC at LAN, and how many times have they done it? They don't have to worry about going home, losing anything big, but they do have to worry about getting their stuff together. The Space Station Gaming looked just a class ahead.
And here it is.
Yeah, I think this is the play right here.
So there it is, the poke from FRZ God. Gara safely tucked away behind that pillar. He peeks his head out and just barely finds it right before he loses line of sight. And then from there on out, man, it is the green light to go. Tenor top damage, but 0-4 for Fasheko. Middle of the pack, but 2-5, 0-6 for Unbelievable. Struggling.
7-0-8 for Sadak on Khan. I'm speechless. I am without speech. Beautiful play.
Then I better take over here. We're seeing the initial aggression coming out here, and it is the go pedal slam. Is this a different fight with ultimates?
I like it. I like the aggression. They haven't found much, but Aries should go down here. Unless some incredible healing goes down. It is. There's the Khan firing line heal.
Ooh,
I actually don't mind that at all.
They don't save Bugsy. They don't save Tenor. The illusory rift goes out. But Unbelievable even has to pop the Ancient Rage just to stay alive. Ice Storm to lock down. Gara doesn't quite get the kill, though. Can't get it. Into the ice block. New round of cooldowns. New man. But he just has to use it to get out. Unbelievable turns the fight around with 2.
I mean, the fact that they keep 4 alive there and then just barely lose 1 and then barely lose 1, off of all that aggression from FNATIC. I mean, they used everything, Ancient Rage included.
Yeah.
That's a really strong hold off of a very aggressive pressure type play from FNATIC to start out.
There it is. They've got the Dome Shield as well, so FNATIC certainly have something to weather this storm that is inevitably coming from SSG. They have the Overpower, they have the Dread Serpent, they have the Assert Dominance. They've got all their heaviest hitters. Bugsy goes down again. Great target prioritization because now they don't have a Dome Shield.
And that was really good from Bittner. He knows he's trying to go for Ares, but he then goes for the support. So now you've got to do it without the...
I'm gagging.
5 health?
Oh my goodness.
What a shot! Ooh,
It's just the somersault, baby. It has saved his life and given him a kill to boot. And just to have the presence of mind to just realize that that even happened, that your cooldown reset that quickly.
And the projectile, that's not hit scan, man.
No.
That was nice.
What a beast.
They may not be able to get the point because there's a really nice retake coming through from FNATIC, but that's a good big game. Shield is down. He's still going to get it. 6 seconds, by the way. Duration lasting for what feels like a lifetime. Pacheco is alive. He's looking to get the heal, but, I mean, Ares is out of his mind right now. Ares is out of his mind.
And I think it might just be one of those days. Big combo. Ares pops off as he puts Gara in the dirt. Space Station Gaming go up 3-0 over FNATIC on the first map of this best of 3.
That's just some beautiful play. And if you have FRZ God to contend with on Eevee playing just perfectly, right? Not even making mistakes there. Beautiful stuff from Jera to find the extra damage that he wasn't expecting. But then you have Ares pop off that way, like that level pop off. Starting damage carry, main star player pop off.
And that's what's so cool about what we're seeing here from Space Station is that this is a conversation that we would have once had about FNATIC, right? You see the clear target bans coming out in the draft, right? Drogos is gone, Leon is gone because FRZ God's popping off. It's almost like when we were going into sets against FNATIC in times past, we would just say, I don't know, focus on what you do well because it doesn't matter what you take away from them. They can play literally everything.
And you know, Eevee is a mental character that when, man, she starts doing her thing on you, it's very, very, very emotionally devastating because she just shows up. You never kill her. She's always in. She's always out. Always have to worry about it. You can't play your game. And it gives Ares so much room to operate here. It's a beautiful lineup on Serpent Beach for SSG. He knows that Jera is low. Can't quite find him. There's Pacheco. One shot, and Sadak will clean it up. He's got a few more in the back line, and Jera still fighting for his life.
Bugsy realizing maybe he doesn't have a lot of cooldowns here. Won't even wormhole back. Just waits. Yes, he
waited.
He is going to go through. Waits out the full duration because he doesn't want to give up this high ground. Bugsy doesn't either. 105 on the clock here. Final corner being officially broken and Unbi forced to pop his ultimate.
You got to worry about big game here. Unbi is very tanky, but not as tanky as he might normally be without the Cassie. And luckily for him, Cassie not involved in the fight too much. He stays alive. They stabilize. And it's 45 seconds now before this push ends. 3-0 Space Station Gaming. Looking at 4-0 FNATIC.
I mean, honestly, if Space Station Gaming just got in there, got their ultimates, and then literally just went and hid for the rest of the round, and didn't give any ultimate charge to FNATIC,
it wouldn't be a bad call.
Interesting spot.
Wouldn't be a bad call.
Unbelievable. Takes down Sadak early on. Overpower's already charged, but the Assert Dominance gets used there. Just so Rachao can get to the high ground. That's a thinker.
There's some really good play, though. I mean, there is some really good play coming through from SSG. And, yeah, some of the decisions you're saying, oh, well, is that min-max? But it ends up working, and it's odd, and it's throwing FNATIC off, and you can see why.
I think that's the call to go, and they weren't expecting to lose one there. That's really what it comes down to for me. FRZ God finds Tenor, though, has the Ice Storm, looks to cast it on Gara, and will find him.
Oh, my God, dude. SSG are not scared at all of the #1 seed in this qualifier land. Formerly the Kings of Europe, FNATIC look like a shade of themselves, and SSG steal the show.
I mean, what was it, spring? Was it sun? Or was it Worlds, actually, that Space Station Gaming were actually able to take this map, Serpent Beach, off of FNATIC? I remember it happening. I just don't remember exactly when. These are two very seasoned teams at this point. They've had to clash from time to time at LAN, and FNATIC looking a little stunned. And that all too familiar choke creeping up their spine in the finals, Evan.
I know, that's what is starting to worry me here. We have different rosters. Unbelievable, replace Thiel, and you know part of the problem was this right here. The big show, the last match of every tournament this year, something's gone horribly wrong. 4-0 is not a familiar score, or not a score they want to be familiar with anymore. Let's send it back to the desk to break down SSG's dominant victory.
Right after we sent that to the casters, the first thing I said was, I can't think of anything scarier to have to be up against is Bittner's Victor and Fasheko's Willow. I thought that was going to be pretty much a death sentence for SSG, and I have never been more wrong about the way an outcome of a game could go. The Eevee, every single play they were making, Ashe being as aggressive and in the right spots at the right time every single time. But I think, Vox, you were kind of attributing everything towards Cassie.
Yeah, so the draft goes like this. We have Makoa, then Khan Eevee, then Barak Ying. And I said during that drafting phase, oh, this should be Cassie Ying here. Because the Cassie is reliable damage against the Eevee. She's harder to kill than something like a Victor, and that still allows you to pick up maybe an AoE damage dealer as your flex. And that could be Victor, because at this point, Frag Grenade is kind of your primary source of damage. But they go for the Barak. FNATIC take the Barak, they want to get their point tank online, and we've still seen champions like Ashe play a relatively reliable point frontline at this point, and it just seemed unnecessary. I'm going to attribute that down to Spacestation drafting an excellent draft. They took away from FNATIC what FNATIC had the opportunity to take away from them, and they got punished for it. And we had Ares, clutch moments, surviving on 5 HP, Freeze God right at the end there, 15 health overall, and just little things like that, just adding insult to injury, and FNATIC probably looking at themselves going, wow, we should have taken the Cassie here.
I think the Makoa was a great pickup, but I can't help but wonder whether the lack of Torvald into the team composition with the Victor was something that was a key element to the victory in their previous games.
I don't feel like it was, honestly, because Victor's still doing massive damage on this map, right? I think, again, it's an augmentation at that point, but it's not the sole thing that's going on there. It's great anti-dive, and if Eevee blinks in close to you, then Eevee's going to end up dying because of Nullify. But overall, again, I just feel like I think it would have been a more even match if FNATIC had drafted the Cassie there, and I think really that is all there is to it.
Well, with the way things are going, I mean, Bees, you got to play against Spacestation very early on in this tournament. If you were in FNATIC's shoes, like, I mean, what kind of changes do you make going into the next game? Just because you're looking at this, and there wasn't a lot of time to analyze the way they're playing. You're just going into this one, not necessarily blind, but you have to make changes fast.
The thing I noticed mostly about Spacestation is their ability to find the insta-picks. So as we see from this round, the insta-pick onto Jera in the first round. Straight away, they have the flank in. Same for us when we played against them. They had the Ruckus straight in on our Alex play on the Lian. And they get that first pick straight away, and they're so good at then from snowball and then onwards. And they kept such aggression that they didn't give FNATIC the opportunity to get their bearings.
The man right there, Steel Series MVP, none other than Ares. The way he was playing was phenomenal. And it does come down to that Cassie once again being picked up. Double kills left, right, some triple kills I believe in there as well. Smattered around every single chance he was able to get. And I mean, that was, like I said, at least for me, pretty much the exact opposite of how I expected that game to go.
Right.
So Vox, if you're making changes here, or you're looking at something FNATIC needs to do, other than the Cassie and picking up the draft better, where does it fall?
So another thing that was interesting, and again, it is the draft here that where I think that where FNATIC might have had misplaced prioritization. And one of the other things we can look at is this is SSG really cementing the fact that, hey, we can take them all down, and we can just win with it. We don't need to worry too much about letting this Ying get through because we can play around it. Even on a map like Serpent Beach, where Ying has been very useful for teams before, we have ways in which we can adapt and play differently. And that's critical to me because all of a sudden, Ying has been picked in that second place for first pick spot, third pick overall 27 times during this tournament, 28 including this next matchup, and that's not even including the last set as well. My stats are slightly outdated there. This is just at this point saying that there's so much emphasis on this support and on the supports right now, and sure, they're a great buffer for teams that need them, but once you get to a certain skill level, once your DPS and maybe your flank pressure starts to decide the overall outcome, and your prioritization actually suppresses these supports rather than just letting them do everything for free, then you get into the interesting scenario when we can actually look at flex picks rather than going, well, we need this to win the game.
Well, we've mentioned HRX a lot, and again, both of these teams are going to be going. It is all coming down to seeding, and this is actually a place for first or second seed coming down from these two teams. First would get to go up against G2. Second ends up going up against NIP. And that's actually one of the big questions a lot of these teams have been looking at. I mean, Elven Path, again, we said it earlier, we need third. We need to go against an NA team. We don't want to face Na'Vi first. Do you think that's something, again, coming into this? Like, I mean, you're looking at G2 and NIP. Either one's going to be a formidable opponent, but is there one you'd rather face than the other?
I mean, for familiarity's sake, then maybe they want to go for NIP, because they're going to understand how they play a lot better. As I said, FNATIC seems to have improved a lot since the last split, so if they feel that they're back to their former glory, then maybe they feel like NIP isn't going to be the challenge they were during the online split.
So I think you can really look at either right there. The one thing which I will remark is that collectively there's a little bit less LAN experience and maybe some unfamiliarity on NIP just because of the K-Currency pull-in right there, and that could be a big contributing factor when you're looking at their ability to perform on LAN. Maybe we'll see a last pick Grok again.
Coming through, whether it's willing or not, you never know which Grok is going to come through. But it has always been interesting, at least for Virtus Pro being able to pull those strats out. But we've seen countless rookies, I actually think, for this split having, or not just this split, this LAN as well being phenomenal. Ninu is the one that comes to my mind just because of his performance earlier, but we are in picks and bans, we're in the draft, and this I think is where things become not necessarily do or die. There's no dying anymore.
Yeah, this map is Splitstone Quarry as well, so we've got a Baron really taking a factor that there's going to be a lot of aerial control here. We've seen some teams try and play this map a little bit more spread out where they have more backline damage dealers, and that only works if you have the aggro frontline pressure to suppress your enemy. What we really want to focus on right now, again, is potential flank pressure. We're looking at the EV to be heavily contested, we're looking at the Androxus to be heavily contested. Heck, even a Xin might come on through here, but Torvald and Makoa banned out, reliable picks to start off with. FNATIC just don't want to play into that Makoa, and the Torvald always a reliable ban here. I'm wondering if we're going to see maybe that Andro EV banned out at this point, or if we might see maybe an aggro tank ban come through, and it is the Khan.
I have to give shout-outs. Fasheko there, using something again from this past HRX, the INAP fidget spinners
on this
that have
map?
been coming through on this map.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
that was actually probably one of my favorite calls, is someone getting thrown into that fidget spinner while we were watching. And instead of the fidget spinner of death or doom or whatever you want to call it, it was the INAP fidget spinner of death. And it was fully brought in.
Wouldn't it be fantastic if we had like a map branding thing there for World, and it's just the logo spinning there? Or an actual fidget spinner? Please, Dev, we need this. But at this point, Leon ban as well. I like the Leon ban on this map, and again, we saw actually goodness me, that Bright Marsh game where we just saw Ares going wild on this pick. That was, actually not Ares, excuse me, that was Freeze God going wild on this pick, supported by the Talus. But it's SSG, they grabbed the Inara first pick Gore, it's reliability, and B's. Fernando, what an Eevee for FNATIC. How are you feeling about this flank pick?
The flank pick's really good because they've kind of secured both sides now. They've secured a bit of lava control with the Eevee, they've secured a bit of stone control with the Fernando. It gives them a lot of flexibility in the remainder of the draft to see what SSG is going to do and then continue to counter pick as it progresses.
Well, Vox likes to call him as he sees him, and even though it's no Ying this time around, SSG do grab that Cassie immediately after the Eevee, something you wanted to see last game. Do you think that actually makes it a lot more still in SSG's favor, or is FNATIC going to be able to play?
I think this is hands down the better choice than the Ying right here. Spacestation have proved that they don't have to have the Ying to be able to perform. So what do? They grab anti-flank DPS and great anti-tank DPS, and they also take the Ashe here. They strip the secondary aggro tank / point tank away from FNATIC, and now they're saying to FNATIC, well, go on, pick the Ying, pick the Barrack, pick this deployable Nightmare. Guess what we've got available to us? Possibly Victor, possibly Willow here, and that can shut that composition down.
I do really like to see the Ashe come out here because, as we've said repeatedly, the Barrack into the Inara is such a struggle to play. So the fact that now they've forced them out from taking the Ashe, which is a much safer tank on this map with the shield resets, the Barrack probably is going to struggle quite a bit.
Just so you know, again, 10th seed coming into this tournament was Spacestation Gaming. First seed was FNATIC, and now they've locked in the Andro. How are you feeling about this one, Vox?
So I was expecting maybe some blast pressure. I did make the remark earlier on that I think that flank play is going to be very, very critical in this map for controlling high ground. And now FNATIC have picked up a Charlene here. It's interesting, right? The Willow and the Victor, they're both vulnerable to the Eevee. Overall, Androxus, whilst not providing the same point denial that the Willow might be able to provide on the Victor, to that Barrack-Ying combo on the objective, as you said, Bees, Barrack already has a tough time. At this point, you're looking for backline pressure, so instead of going directly to attack the point, what we see Space Station doing is saying, hey, let's put pressure on the backline first of all, and then deal with that objective.
So, Bees, who are you feeling more has the better draft for this game?
I don't know, I kind of leaning towards Space Station for this one, although I will say I think Umbi's going to be a lot more comfortable on the Nando, which could actually be a big factor for them. If Umbi plays a lot more stable, then FNATIC could also have a much more stable game and be able to play their game easier.
And Vox, your thoughts?
I think that I want to see the Charlene pull out a Char win here, folks, but I don't know if FNATIC have the guts to do it versus Space Station already having taken a 4-0.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was literally planning on saying that one, but it doesn't even matter. We're going to go ahead and jump to the casters as we get into game number 2.
Well, awesome. I hope I see a Shaw win as well. I've been excited to see Shaolin over the course of this year. He hasn't shown up as much as we thought, but seems to show up on Splitstone Quarry more so than any other map.
Yeah, one of those mid-range bangers for sure. And Tenor will be picking up the recurve this game for the man himself. Good anti-flank burst, I think, if FRZ tries to get up in his face, and as well as helps to just disappear. When you're under pressure, just to unplug.
Notably, big switch up from big game onto impulse. Nick, how do you feel about that? Plus the treacherous ground in Nara, no Mother's Grace.
I like it. I mean, he's going to have Fasheko no doubtedly in his face, as well as these frontliners. There's so many places for them to run away to, so many corners to run around and hide. He's not going to get a lot of
line of
uptime
sight
on them.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Got to take advantage of your moment for sure. And
Whoa, that's a big fireball.
big fireball for sure there onto Unbelievable. FNATIC now applying pressure on this left-hand side. They have pushed Sadak and Metal back, and first blood there goes FRZ got, though, on Bugsy over on the left.
Bugsy back on the barrack here. It's tough to see him on it, for sure. He's got to do what he's got to do. Fasheko running in here, getting one. Aries is just going toe-to-toe. He's just not afraid, and he somehow makes it out unscathed.
I mean, look at that. Like, he was sidestepping left and right. Fasheko had an angle, then he lost it, had to go a little bit more aggressive, and now Rachao with the Warder's Field. It really puts Unbelievable in a bad spot. Bugsy's back. But Rachao never left. 36% and counting here for Space Station. FNATIC, 24% and forced to get off the point.
The up-down of the shield there from Unbelievable, a little questionable for me. He ends up dying for it. I mean, that's a 15-second cooldown. You got to be effective with that. Sadak finds two. He's deep in the back line of FNATIC. Aries is buzzing around as well. Does he get punished there? The wall is good, but Rachao is unable to bail his team out entirely.
72%. Rachao doing his best. Bugsy absolutely fighting against a mountain, not only of a task, but of a woman there.
Stagala. A woman.
Absolutely towering over the young dwarf. And we're going to say young because, you know, when I'm Barrack's age, I'd like to be considered young myself. Unbelievable. Finds Sadak, and that's a good turning point for FNATIC. Can they turn this into something?
Bowling ball saves one. Bugsy looks like he wants to commit here and find Rachao. 96% for Space Station Gaming, but it's FNATIC clawing their way back. They have Heat Haze, but SSG, they've got Assert Dominance. They've got Dread Serpent. They've got a way back in.
Big time stuff. Let's see who can pull it out. This is where things start to get extremely tenuous. And there it is. And he slams, but he's not near the point. Is he still in no damage reduction range here? I think he is, but he doesn't need too much. He's fighting on both fronts here. Bittner on the left-hand side. There's the seismic crash. The wall, the shield, saves Bugsy's life for a moment, but it looks like he's going down here. The dome shield is ready, but he wasn't able to put it, and he finally lands it on the objective.
There it is, the struggle. The risk is that Inara can stay under it. She can actually kill Barrack a lot of times, but Bugsy does not die there. The dome shield will hold for the full duration. FNATIC commit. FNATIC get the payload.
You know, mentioning what Bees had to say on the desk, there was an incredible amount of success, he said, that Barrack could find on Splitstone. In fact, maybe even being one of his better maps, partly because there's so many angles that he can use the rocket boots to get around once the turrets get set up. Every push as well, Kresnik was mentioning this also, that every push around Splitstone, there's a cubby, there's a home, there's a place Barrack can set up and hold for his team, and so far that's given Fasheko the room to succeed.
There it is, Fasheko up in the air. Illusory Rift is popped. He won't land any of his shots down there onto Androxus. What is a big struggle though, and surprising to see. It's not the biggest counter, but it's something to think about. The scout into the Heat Haze for Shaolin can be a bit of a frustration factor, because Aries now, he can hold that just entirely the entire round, waiting for that hard counter in the ultimate.
And that's what happens, right? The other players on this team have to decide which ultimates get used first, because same thing for Drogo's Fernando, right? You could save your Immortal just for the Dragon Punch, but sometimes your teammate's about to die and you got to keep your healer alive. So if some pressure from other ways can force the Cassie Scout maybe early round, or maybe there's a little bit of the Shaolin Heat Haze just to stay alive, that you could see Sadak pressure out with some of his burst damage, or maybe FRZ guy contributes, then that will tilt the favor one way or the other. Push going pretty far this far, though.
They're countering out beautifully with the Immortal. There's a couple of headshots to the backline. FRZ God sneaks his way in, resets his dash with a punch. He's got a lot of man in his face right now, but he's most concerned with this dwarf. Deals with Bugsy fluidly, exits, and it will be a Space Station hold for now.
Well, I will tell you what. That's good looking Ash.
It really is. That gold skin, the mastery.
Yep.
You gotta love to see it.
Most importantly, though, Nick, and I think this is a very important thing to consider here, it's looking at this conversation around FRZ guy. This man is playing Eevee, Drogos, you know, Willow, and then he's going on Androxus? Like this? Like, you can't ban this man out.
He's become a full-fledged superstar where you can't ban him out. He is forcing you to ban stuff that you may not otherwise do in the draft phase. You can't get rid of stuff that's good against your comp. You got to worry about this guy taking over the game. Beautiful stun there, tracking from Tenor onto Sadak. And so much damage. It's just one more simple shot from Bugsy will do the trick.
Bittner here on a 1 streak. looking to get a little bit more, but it ends right there. I think that was, nope, the Accursed Dart held on to there by the Androxus. It's been an overtime push that's lasted quite a while.
Yeah.
So FNATIC have done a good job of really going at SSG, but not the performance they were looking for today. And a 2-0 push might have given them some confidence back, but a hold there definitely tilts things back in the favor of SSG.
SSG certainly discussing what could go better there. Long round, though. 6 minutes for the first round to be complete. That is setting us up. If this one goes 4, we got a 20-plus minute game for sure.
You already got your shoes off.
I do.
I'm going to do the same.
Join me, brother.
I'm going to do the same. Let them breathe. Let them
Let
breathe.
the dogs out.
Well,
How's it
now
feel?
I can truly cast.
Now you can pop
You
off.
know what? This is some top-tier casting casting tech right here. This is stuff you don't figure out until a few years down the line.
Pop them off, let them breathe, let them rip. Bulldozer for Gera.
And I don't mind it.
Interesting.
I treacherous ground.
I want to see this Ying just plow through an narwhal late game.
And look at FRZ God. He's already used his mobility. He's not scared at all. That's the thing that I think I've noticed most. He's not scared at all. Jera, he's now in lava. And look at this. They have a good line of sight. Oh,
No
my
way.
God. This man.
I was about to make fun of him.
This man went and took down the Eevee mid-flight.
What?
Holy moly. This guy knows how to play Paladins.
I was about to say, well, who are you trying to shoot?
You trying to shoot that Eevee mid?
There's nobody even on your screen. Oh, okay. Well, hey, do your thing, young man. Do your thing.
My goodness. We said you can't ban him out, but I didn't expect you were going to get a performance like this on the Androxus, man. FNATIC. I think maybe just in awe like we are of the man FRC got in Metal. 18 streak, by the way. Playing wonderfully on the Maldamba. A little stunned to let Umbi know he's still there.
Little punch reset. Whoa.
He tried something.
A lot of party going on up here on the high ground. Quick another dash reset, but this one is just to get out here. Trouble in Splitstone. Quarry for FNATIC as Space Station take a pretty dominant fight there to go up 2-1.
Well-oiled machine, man. I mean, he drops down that instant, gets a heal from Metal, goes in left. I mean, these guys are, you know, I said Armada might be the biggest team here where they're not just a collection of players. They're not just good players all earning their spots, superstars for sure in the Paladins world. But they're brothers. They're a band. They're together. That's where their power is. All 5 of them. But you know what? I think SSG are probably taking the cake here for me, especially as far as performance. And that knockback actually helps Sadat get out of safety.
Oh, Pacheco can't get it going either on the Eevee. Struggling here. Struggles for FNATIC. A bit of a risk maybe to pick Shaolin here. Not a popular pick. Seeing why it's kind of struggling here in a couple of different ways. And at the end of the day, it's just something that Tenor's not playing a lot of.
Dread Serpent in a little bit of a delayed moment there. Might have hit Bugsy. Might have just been an issue with what we were looking at because it would be weird to see, I mean, Bittner run into that. We're going to look here, though. FRC got on the Androxus. This is somebody we know has been performing, so we're going to kind of follow along with him and see how he goes. Over on the right side, you do see Sadak making his way, but he gets stalled off a little bit, expecting the Eevee to blink back, but actually she stays in the back line, so I don't know if that's good or bad for FNATIC.
Such a hard character to defend against. He could attack from any angle, from the darkness, from the silence of the night. Androxus comes for you.
Oh, man.
Sadak and FRZ got having a big flank here, but FNATIC have hard committed to the 3 members of Space Station Gaming that were left on an island as a result of the flank.
And this is good, but you just can't let too many of these players get into your back line. SSG are losing members. They've lost Bugsy, who was holding that high ground, but it's a really nice wraparound from FNATIC. They are not amateurs whatsoever, and in fact, what's amazing is that this team from Brazil is just turning heads so much. They have so much potential. I cannot wait for their future, Nick and Paladins. It's looking so bright here against a great European team.
And the read there. So now FRZ he's called out. They're not worried about him right now. They certainly can't forget him. Up over the top there into the ice block. Immediately back out for Sheko. So quick, so clean, so mean on the Eevee.
We've missed Sadak getting involved really towards the end of this push. He has a ton of contribution towards the beginning of it, but FRC God's going to have to pop off and get probably 2 kills here if they do want a chance. There's the reversal, and he actually mistimed it.
I would say, I was just about to start talking about that timing and that interaction. I said, you know, a player like Pacheco isn't going to miss that ever.
But he did.
A little quick there on the trigger. I actually want to look at his loadout. He feels like he's getting a lot of resets, and I know I've said this a couple of times in this event. Tenor needs to get things going, though, on the Shaolin. Such a high playmaking potential character. So much burst as well. You can see FRZ guys just can't get the hands up fast enough. May have been on cooldown. Hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of things going wrong for FNATIC here. I don't think they expected to be hit this hard by Spacestation.
I don't think so either. You just look at the caliber. I mean, yesterday, what a performance is Bittner put on. We were marveling at his skill, and still are, admittedly, but he's been very quiet today, and the Brazilian carries have absolutely stolen the show.
Tenor negative, man. You don't often see that. Also top damage Fernando, by the way.
Hey, I'm
Fernando and Barrick are in there.
Barrick. Well, you know, they like to get in there. Absolutely. Bugsy here, does he have the dome shield? He does. FRZ God actually
debated.
So respected there. He actually dashes away the preemptive Ice Storm to say, don't come in here at all. He puts the don't enter the room sign, the teenager, making sure the parents don't go in.
No girls allowed.
Exactly, the no girls allowed sign. Back for the growing up as a 13-year-old. Thought it was cool. And now that ends up working out for Spacestation Gaming to have really a lot of pressure here heading back into the fight. They've got to turn this around somewhere, and Ares needs to maybe show up in this fight.
One missed shot there. It's critical. Ares is going to live, and now he's going to just start laying into the FNATIC front line, but one that has already accomplished the goal that they set out for. Double kill there for Fasheko.
And that's all you need, baby. FNATIC. You know, it's been an interesting game of ups and downs for this team, and especially an interesting set, but FNATIC know they've got to win here. Couple of nice shots here from Fasheko. Good burst damage as well. Ice block. Try and turn it around. And there is the Soar from EV. Blinking up, blinking down. Gets the heals from Flicker in the loadout. It's Bittner and FNATIC try to round this right corner.
Difference in the defense, though. You remember SSG last round. They were having to fight really close to that corner. Now you're starting to see them inch up to the same place FNATIC tried to hold them. As the first kills of this engagement come through, it's a 1-for-1 so far. Shots from Fasheko are no good. Ares will find the frag.
But you know somebody had to do it because he was starting to feel himself. And the way FNATIC play when Fasheko's just feeling the moment like that, when he's just 180ing, that's a hard FNATIC to beat. But now that Fasheko got that kill, slowed down what was an avalanche of pressure. Splitstone Quarry, a very hard map in Paladins, probably the hardest statistically to push on. And with 1 minute and 15 seconds left, you would give the edge to the defenders in Space Station to tie this up and go back to 3-3. But a beautiful Impale and Ice Storm combo. That's going to start things rolling for FNATIC.
Lock it down, brother. Into the ice block. Fasheko will be able to shrug off the onslaught. FRZ God puts on in the backside of this fight. FNATIC, though, they're bleeding. They're bleeding. FRZ God is bleeding them dry in the back line.
That punch looked like it physically
I felt
hurt.
that.
I flinched back. That was perfect camera angle to just see the violence of that punch, the devastation, the destruction of the one with the accursed arm. Nice gold revolver as well, as it shines and sparkles and turns his enemies into dust. That lets you know who's the one who got the last hit, and FRZ God, he's got plenty of those.
30 seconds. Thank you, third commentator. Creeping, crawling to the backline again, accursed arm in hand. I don't know if anyone from FNATIC smells this out.
They may not, but they need to soon. A couple of big shots here from Fasheko.
There it is. Everyone's starting to retreat now, so FRZ God's in an awkward spot where he has revealed himself. They know he's there. Now he just has to float. Now he just has to be present, almost waiting for the fight to start so that he can engage safely when everyone's distracted and get those first shots off.
Absolutely. Overtime now, and Bugsy's pretty clear, half health, but doing fine, pushing it forward, and that's an illusory rift, man.
Uh-oh.
FNATIC, you know what? They really want this push. They're going to go for the Yang ult. It's the good one to, I think, try to do a gamble on, because you can get it back so quickly, but there's Space Station Gaming with the Ashe ult in response.
Trigger discipline on the Ice Storm as well. Tenor trying to track down Androxus, but FRZ God drops. And the payload getting in the way of some of the fun here. Tenor isn't able to find the killing below there. It's Bugsy that takes down Sadak. FRZ God still floating in the backline. He's got to do something. Tenor plugs him for 1,000 damage.
Wow.
And he'll plug him for 2.
But you know he got a lot of damage off. Now everyone's using all of their ultimates here. SSG want to hold this so badly, and you got to wonder, it doesn't seem to be in their best interest. It seems to be working out much more favorably for FNATIC. Everything is gambled, and FNATIC grab the game. It was do or die right there. A lot of times you can expect that, you know what, man, just one kill, save ults, we'll have a next round. That's the only thing that can help us win, but they couldn't even get there.
Map for map. No one winning their own map selections here, but it is Space Station now. With the loss here, they get to go back to back, and they get to select where we will head to next. It's surprisingly unimportant. Normally, especially in PPO, you will see a lot of these sets extended because we're just stomping out on our own map picks here. But these are those inter-regional matchups where you don't really have that pretense of like, oh well, D69 is going to win this one, Burrito's going to win this. These guys don't play each other, so it's hard to tell who's going to take what map and who's got the bigger advantage.
It does remind me of Na'Vi and Nocturnes, though, and Sadak was on that team that actually lost to Na'Vi on Splitstone. This is the one that they lost on, so maybe not a good map for the Latin Americans, maybe that guy in particular to go back to, but luckily there's still a third map to be played. More good Paladins coming up. Send it back to the desk after Game 2 completes.
Like you said, one more game now between these two teams to come through. It's still a best of 3, but Splitstone Quarry did not quite go the way SSG wanted to. And for me, I think the best way to actually showcase what happened in that game was the end of round 1. A lot of it's going back and forth, and it just came down to a dome shield that just happened to be in the right spot at the right time that wins that round for FNATIC. Doesn't end up getting the push, but that's kind of how it felt every single time. Back and forth until one ult maybe could make the big difference.
Yeah, very much so. We see on the first point the Barrack get like insta-forced out, pushed out to lava side. The Androxus comes through, gets an insta-pick on him. But FNATIC keep resilience and they just pull back, get their ults, wipe them out, and then easy cap.
A couple little interesting choices as well, such as talking about Slugshot Ash, for example, which we saw, which is useful for poking at high ground control. But FNATIC, they drafted an Eevee. It's just the Charlene up on the top here really trying to poke out. It's not a couple of different picks, and I wonder if maybe just AoE spread Cauterize would have been a little bit better for the side of Space Station. Maybe something like a big old Fortress Breaker Siege Shield could have been more resilient, helping them stay alive on the objective a little bit better. Or even Battering Ram, right? There are a lot of different little choices in here which could have helped augment that, but ultimately when FNATIC got going on that second push, they really started to hammer it home, and a big part of that, to me at least, was this unpressured Char win.
The Charlene did play phenomenal, and the thing is, when you haven't played against Charlene in so long, you kind of forget how easy it is for him to get them stuns into the queues, and the damage numbers, well, they speak for themselves.
4 players over 100k right now. That's what I'm looking at as well right here. It's the front line. The damage spread is coming from not just the damage champions, but the front line of FNATIC. And that, to me, seemed to help augment them, as well as it's not too much of a healing increase right at this point. I think Metal's definitely proven themselves as being able to keep up with the Ying on Maldamba, especially when you're paired with the Sonara. But having that spread damage, having less of the pressure fall solely on the shoulders of your damage champions for Space Station and the Cassie and the Androxus means that overall you're performing better as a team and you have more overall pressure. I still am surprised to see the Barrack with that high of a damage number though.
Yeah, well, the Barrack is actually quite a high damage output, especially on maps like this with the long range. He has very good poke, and then when he's put up against an Inara, although I keep saying the Inara is a counter, it is quite easy to shoot an Inara, so you can
she's
charge
just
damage
there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The trouble is she just heals it off again. So sometimes the damage from the tanks isn't necessarily
Great source of ult
true
charge.
damage. Yeah, exactly.
There we go. That's maybe what Dome Shield came from, folks. It's just sitting there going Inara, heal, Inara, mending spirits, shot, mending spirits, shot, mending spirits. Eventually you just crank up that Dome Shield, and then even then, when she's got no Earthen Guard, she will melt under the pressure a little bit. I still think that we saw a good performance from Space Station Gaming overall, but for a second time I'm also seeing the difference between the Eevee and the Androxus as parallel flanks and the amount of pressure that Eevee can put out, as well as her safety, right, compared to the Androxus, who has a more difficult time right now in that matchup.
It was especially noticeable during the beginning of round 2, because that's when FRZ God actually finds a couple of kills. Like, that's when he really stepped up, and you could see the impact that had, but unfortunately it was not going to be enough for the team to not only find the push but continue their win. Now we get to go to Stone Keep as a last map, actually one of the, I want to say, stronger maps for both of these teams, but it's going to come down to the wire. We've seen a lot of teams pull this up as potentially a last choice. It has not been picked up as often as we typically see online, and I know Vox is going for the numbers right now as to where this map stands.
I'm going for some numbers, but the interesting thing, folks, is that we haven't seen Bright Marsh this set, right? And that's been the map for the most of this tournament that we've just seen go, oh, you know what? Let's head to Bright Marsh. That's a staple map. This, to me, again, it's Space Station's pick, right? They have a composition for it, but FNATIC, they play this map really, really well. You know, this is a map where, especially that D69 crew back in the day, which Bugsy was a part of course, you can't forget about that, just really took a handle and figured out how to play this map. We saw some great long line of sight lockoffs, for example, discovered because of that team.
We were actually talking about this in the last set, that Stonekeep is not necessarily one of the best maps that you can have some of the stronger picks that are strong right now, or at least considered strong. Con was one of those because it was very specific that there are only certain areas you can stand on where you're going to feel as impactful as Con. So Bees, you have a ton of experience as a frontliner. What exactly would you go for? I want to say like first in a draft for Stonekeep.
Well, it's always
For you, it's going to be a Nara.
I love
we
a
already
Nara,
know
so
that.
I'd always take the Nara. The trouble with the Khan on this map is it's very hard to find those locations to throw them off the map on the point fight. So on the kind of on the pushes, on the defense, it's very easy to get people off the map. But when it comes to the actual point fight itself, it is very difficult to find an angle to grab someone and get them off. It's possible on the Onara, but the trouble is from the angles you can do it on the Onara. If she has ult available, she's able to ult and she can survive and stay on the map.
Quick shout, by the way, this is the first time that we're seeing Stonekeep for either of these teams, folks. So whilst we've seen Stonekeep plenty throughout the tournament so far, and it has become one of the more common map picks secondary to that Bright Marsh, we don't know how either of these teams is really going to draft and really going to prioritize. The thing that I'm looking at with SSG here overall, though, is do they value that front line more than they value the EV? And look at that, the Fernando ban as well. This seems to be a bit more of a targeted Unbelievable right now.
I mean, it's definitely
imagine
trying to
so.
take shots at him.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable, especially with the Torvald we had seen yesterday and what we've seen just highlights of today, along with the Fernando, like you said, until pretty much the end was sitting at top damage in that game. Barrick was able to pull ahead, and those last 4 arrows from Shaolin, I believe, pulled him up just ahead of it. But 100k damage for Fernando is pretty impressive to put out.
I think they must have stacked up a lot on Stone side. I honestly wouldn't be surprised now from FNATIC if I seen like a Barrack Ash being taken.
Yeah.
Considering so many tanks have now been banned out and picked, the tank pool is going to be really, really small.
So I feel like you can leave that Barrack to a degree. I don't want to see SSG pick an Inara and a Barrack as well, so I think picking up the Ashe and maybe a Cassie here, or even looking at an early Drogoz, Willow, something like that would be reliable damage along the side, because then you can save your Barrack for later if necessary. And it is the Ashe which is picked up here so far. That's good security for probably Unbelievable at this point. And if the Drogoz is picked early on, especially with FNATIC not banning the Leon, which they've done so frequently throughout all of their games so far, it is a little bit surprising. They must be very confident that they can play this pick in the Cathedral and keep it a little bit more safe.
So you both mentioned Ashe Barrack or Ashe Cassie, Ashe Drogoz. Like Ashe plus something that can either hold on to the point well against Inara, at least the best that you can against Inara. But both of those would leave open a Ruckus, one of the only other front lines. I actually think the only other front line that you could go to for either of these teams. Spacestation love their Ruckus. FNATIC has one in their pocket as well, but do you think this is going to be a very big pickup? Is it going to be impactful throughout this game?
It has to be.
The Ruckus is really good. It has the hit scan to take down the Drogoz. It has great damage to control in the Cathedral side. But the Drogoz at the same time is very easy for him to farm damage on a Ruckus. If the Ruckus isn't moving correctly, the Rockets are going to hit him. He's going to get damage charge. He's going to get his ult, and that means a dead Inara or a dead Ruckus. But I would say the way Sadok plays the Ruckus is phenomenal, and he is probably more than capable of dodging the Drogoz shots.
I think this is also FNATIC drafting very well, the Ying Barrack coming on now. You know, SSG, they need AoE damage to be able to deal with this. The Willow would be the obvious pick to go to, but if they don't go for flank pressure, they can potentially leave themselves vulnerable to maybe an Androxus, or maybe you just get Tenna back on Victor, right? That's what I'm looking at right now, because Drogoz is going to be played by Fish Echo most likely. If you don't pick up flank pressure, you've got an unpressured Victor all game. You've got everything that you want. You've got the double fire spit on the side of FNATIC, and we saw how that went on Ascension Peak a little earlier today.
So Vox, how do you feel about the fact, and this actually caught my eye just a little bit, so Leon has been banned a little bit more recently in the last couple days of the tournament. How do you feel about Cassie being picked up over Leon?
I think that Cassie is a reliability pick for SSG. It's just maybe where Ares feels a little bit more comfortable, or maybe potentially Freeze God feels a little bit more comfortable. They are going to go and draft the Eevee in here last of all. And again, I really like this score. I think this is we've got to dissuade Victor, but that leaves the Leon open for FNATIC now. They're saying that we don't need the double AoE, and potentially Leon has a bit of a better time versus the Eevee.
So, Bees, going into this, FNATIC obviously having a very strong last map, but who do you feel has an advantage in the draft right here?
This one looks so close. I'm going to give it towards the edge, towards FNATIC, I think. I think with the Drogoz damage and everything else they have on the line, I think they're going to have him.
I gotta say FNATIC as well. It looks like they control the draft just a little bit more. It's not too much, but it might be enough to take the edge here, and they could go 2-1 over SSG.
Well, it's game number 3, do or die, at least for first seed if you want to be able to make it. So we're going to go ahead and jump to the casters as soon as we can and get this game started.
Huge moments here for both FNATIC and SSG. They are going to DreamHack Atlanta next Friday, no doubt about it. But this is deciding who they play. Big stakes on the line at Stone Keep.
You know, Kresnik was saying that he really loves Victor here, and I'm just wondering about these last-second selections in the draft. The EV for SSG. Despite Pacheco already having his pick, he wasn't going to take it. They leave up the Leon, and they could have had Leon against this Ying. I wonder if it was just to deter Tenor's Victor.
Can we also talk about the Impulse Cassie again? It worked so well on Serpent Beach, and now he's back for 2 games in a row on it.
Oh, you mean Big Game works so well?
Big Game works so well, and now
Yeah.
you've got an Ashe who has the highest, basically, health pool out of any tank in Paladins, and Nara's more effective health, but as far as numbers, I think Ashe
Sure.
is the highest.
Yeah,
Missed
that's all
opportunity
that
or-
matters for Big Game.
Yeah.
What's the number on the screen? That's how hard I'm hitting. I hear you. There's no flank pressure either from FNATIC. That's the primary reason we see people take Impulse, is to worry about things like Andros and Eevee, but FNATIC don't have any of that. Preference, perhaps.
And I think you can also just look at Sadak and his pressure, maybe saying, we have a burst comp, let's just go more into the burst. As far as the Rockets, let's go more into the Impulse burst. But, you know, I got to say that I really, really like the way that Sadak has been playing the Ruckus. It has not really been an easy contest for teams to go against him when he is on this champion. And they smell Pacheco doing something fucky here. And Sadak is there to beat him to the punch.
Is this like a string of 200 IQ plays
Whoa.
from Sadak? I mean, the body block that he gets, and then he hunts down Pacheco. This is wild.
Whoa! Whoa! And guess what? Eevee has a 100% win rate in this set.
Yeah, maybe that's why they wanted to pick her. Just keep it going, baby. Keep the rhythm flowing. A mid-range Eevee is a very dangerous thing. When she gets into those types of connections, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the cool thing is that Eevee's actually feeling better on land this time around than online. And an online Eevee at a high level is just impossible to deal with. But a LAN Eevee, I mean, the way these shots are falling from FRZ God, it just creates so much space for a composition that's already making a good amount of space for itself in Inara and Ruckus.
Tanner tries to push down FRZ God, but again, Sadak is there. Dude, he is everywhere. He's body blocking here, hunting down kills here, bailing people out this way. Sadak on his comfort pick, his favorite champion, is absolutely dominating Stone Keep.
And that close, that many headshots wiggling within the shield, that was impressive. Sadak looks better than ever, and oh my goodness, SSG very close to pushing in a 2-0 lead on Stone Keep. Hitzbitner has to respawn and find an answer. They have the Enlightenment, and so do the Dragon Punch to use in their arsenal, but how do they use it is the question.
Hexifier is ready to go. Dragon Punch is ready.
Oh,
So many
whoa.
ultimates. A high-flying Dread Serpent here puts Pacheco in an awkward spot. FRZ God is lucky that he even bumbled down to the low ground in that ice block. Sadak's going to try to get as much damage out as he can, but it will not change the outcome of this map.
And now this is just good play from both sides. That was a good defense, good use of the pressure, and no ultimates as well. I mean, really nice hold from FNATIC, and Spacestation gamble a little bit there.
Well, let's talk about this map a little bit. I mean, man, this used to be a Nocturne's map. Sadak is very comfortable
Yes.
here, as well as
Yes.
FNATIC just get their butts whooped by Na'Vi all the time on this map. So I feel like this was a really, really good Game 3 pick for Space Station Gaming. Hate to call it before it's over, certainly. FNATIC will have something to say about this Game 3, but Space Station have set themselves up.
But you're right, it's just they've been on the back foot the entire time. It feels like FNATIC haven't ever gotten going here, and Sadak and them have had their way. Jarrah with a nice pickup onto Sadak, but FRZ God finds unbelievable. They wanted that Ashe pick so badly, and now Bugsy has to wiggle and jive, and he somehow stayed alive.
Thank
Bugsy now
God.
getting healed here, but a big shot from Rachao is going to clean him up. But Pacheco, he buys himself some time, and now on the point, he's going to get a double. 10 seconds left. I think that's a hold from FNATIC.
Bowling Ball just saved the round there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
If Bugsy goes down a little bit sooner there, that Inara is way healthier, and Pacheco, Tenor, and Jarrah are going to have a really tough time contesting that out. So shout-outs to Bugsy, keeping that round alive for as long as possible.
And, you know, I think that's what dissuades the big game at the end of the day. It's just that Barrack is the least value tank with that talent. And it's two times
three in a row, right?
It's 2 times in a row that we've seen at least the Ashe Barrack on their side. I think, for whatever reason, I don't remember it being that way in Game 1, but the
He
draft...
ran it on Splitstone.
But I don't know if he ran it on Serpent.
What did he play on Serpent Beach? I think he played Barrack. Yeah, he did.
He
He
did.
absolutely did. I know for sure.
Okay.
Now, it just popped into my head a play that I remember. It's 3 in a row. Bugsy on Barrack every single time. Has not been a popular pick this tournament, but it's a staple of what FNATIC are.
It
man.
is. I mean, they had a great win. You know, despite talking about other land losses, they did have a land win in the spring finals for the PPL. against Na'Vi that went Game 7, and that Game 7 was with a solo tank barrack. It was run by Thiel at that point, but it was on Fish Market, wild game, and it ended up working out. This is probably a risky play, and he's going to have to run away, but Fisheko finds him. A little bit of hesitation cost Sadak his life.
And he gets out alive. Fisheko will bring another one with him. He's looking for his third. Gara will find it. And you get a nice little head pump there. Fisheko's mad happy with the way that that fight went. 54 on the objective as well. They get the win and all the capture.
But look at this. What a route. What a route. I mean, he's going to get there. He's going to get there. He's going to have a chance. I don't know what they're going to be able to do, but this is the benefit of an Eevee, too. She touches and gets out to safety, uses the Soar and the Blink combination. It allows Inara to touch, and it's the overtime that's been ticked away. That always will go on as long as an enemy player has gotten near the point. And here's a Dome Shield in response.
There it is. Ares finds the first kill of this engagement. Spacestation Gaming alive. Rochelle, 62 HP. It won't be enough to get him through. And now Conga lining onto the objective.
Yeah.
It's such a mountain to climb. Ares can't find the direct connection, so Gara will live. FNATIC take the objective. Ares trades 1-for-1.
Wow.
But FNATIC bounce back.
And they certainly are bouncing back. This is a totally rejuvenated FNATIC after that objective defense.
Yeah.
And, of course, the stolid hold there on the push. 2 minutes now for them to have a chance to make this a 3-1.
It's always a very different fight when you have ultimates involved as well. That's something Space Station simply have to be aware of. Every team needs to realize that going into that. All right, ultimates are up, guys. How does this fight change? How are we going to respond? Bugsy takes down Rochelle. Leon is a pretty good matchup against Eevee. There's so much auto aim, but Tender doesn't even need it right now.
No, beautiful confidence. That's what I'm seeing for Fisheko start to get. It was that Eevee game on Splitstone that really started to tilt things the way of FNATIC after a huge amount of momentum was captured by Space Station on Serpent Beach. Sadak just trying to hide out here.
Where is
FNATIC,
Ares
oh my
going,
God,
dude?
they are absolutely just running through Space Station.
Because where's Ares? I saw him like creeping up onto the balcony near the keep. Where is this Cassie coming? And now
He's in the. He's too,
what do you accomplish with that?
We've got to make a move now. I mean, you've got to make this pay off, right? Because you've given up so much room, like, to do this, and you have to make it work. You have to.
To shoot
This
clones
should be
here.
it. This should make it work right here.
A lot of people put in the corner there. Sadak dumps damage out. Ares' flank will result in 2. Took a long time, a big risk.
It was.
But now they reap the reward.
But I think that's the point of this matchup. Both teams playing with confidence and willing to take risks and willing to zone a little bit aggressively, willing to, you know, play the line of the 99 to 100 and really put their bets on ultimates. I think it's just a great matchup of two teams kind of feeling themselves here.
Couple of headshots landing. Sadak not letting off the gas pedal. The old full court press here on Stone. Keep, and they're shutting it down. 2-4 for nothing. SSG don't even spend an ultimate. And they get her done.
Oh.
Beautiful shot there from both players. Both of whom know Drogos and Eevee inside and out. Absolute world-class blaster matchup here between FRZ God and Fisheko.
And what a 1v1 that would be on Frog Owl. Just both of them, you know, queue up in the same champion and just let them go to work, blasters only. I'd pay to see that for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe like.
I feel like Drogos 1v1s are kind of meh, but an Eevee 1v1 sign me up.
Oh yeah. I'd pay some sparks for that. I mean, I gotta save them for the narwhals, but you know.
Oh man.
I'd use some for that.
And now he's just getting in a rhythm. He's shooting people in the back of the head. Big problem. You gotta at least give eye contact to Drogos. Is that the hardest read of 2018 with that fire spit? He lets it float over the line of sight around the corner.
Wow.
And over the river and to
Through the
grandmother's
woods,
house
yeah.
he goes.
Doesn't work out, but I like the reference. And I also think that what was so good about it is he could have actually exploded it where she was.
I thought that's what I would have done.
And where she was going to be. It was the fire spit that meant I could do it now or later, and he just waited to see where she went before making his decision. It was like, man, that was a 200 IQ play.
I would have popped it early, but maybe that's why I'm sitting here and he's sitting there.
You know what I would have done is
all in all the time here. Fisheko lands Dragon Punch. And Ying ultimate, valuable in just so many ways, but especially early game when you don't need an immortal or anything fancy to get the Drogos out alive after his punch.
Yeah.
That's hyper valuable.
Fisheko spraying after the kill.
No follow the scent.
Interesting.
The innate anti-heal card that Drogos has run
Going for
basically
Propel.
100% of the time here. He has just foregone it. Maybe he feels well, death attacks is enough.
Admittedly, you don't really need it if you're dead, because then you can't shoot anything. So Doc
Sure.
makes sure of that. He says, here's how you get value of not picking that up.
And And Bugsy's in some trouble. Can we take a look at the item screen now? We've got a small lull in the action here. And Fasheko goes for Cauterize 3 instead. Maybe feeling that, I don't know.
That's more impactful.
Maybe he can land shots consistently enough on these very slow frontliners for SSG that he just feels it's worthwhile.
And I think Sadak pulls off there because he's scared of the Dragon Punch. Because he can zone out the Drogos, but with Dragon Punch potentially available, and it's close, it's at 100% now, he would just be sitting bait. And so he would go down, they'd have no peel for that, and here it is, Rachao has to do something. I think he's setting up for a wall, and he definitely is. And now who's going to get hit? Anyone. Yes, it's Sadak who eventually takes the ire of it, but it doesn't mean that Fnatic have won this fight.
People like to punch at Nara, but Sadak is a big problem for them
Yes.
right now. I really don't mind that target selection at all. Fnatic on the objective, but this fight is far from over. SSG have an Ice Storm. And Farzigod is on the prowl. First shots go to Bittner. Second shot, third shot goes to Tenor. He has his Enlightenment as well, but Sadak is here for the peel.
Bodyguard shows up. You messing with me? Here's the Secret Service. Try and get through them first, and now here's the Enlightenment, but it's blocked. I mean, that's just classy play right there, and it looked pretty easy as Bittner gets caught out. You don't rarely see that. And now FRC God makes him pay. Oh, man. Fasheko, though, answering back. He's going to miss on the Fire Spit. But you know FRC wants this kill. Ares is going to pick it up, and SSG now they're 3-2. What a wild set.
There's just no holes in either of these teams. When someone's faltering somewhere, it's being picked up elsewhere, and Ares goes big from the low ground. He's been fairly quiet until now. Starting to get things going. 8 streak on Cassie. I don't fault Tenor for missing that Enlightenment. I think, you know, the hitbox is certainly to be played with around corners.
Yeah.
And skinny little pillars like that. Eevee just small enough to stay safe.
I think he also just kind of felt, oh my god, mid-air rockets. That might actually spell the end of Drogos. Beautiful heals from Jera, world-class player. It's interesting, you know, in a matchup with Bugsy and Jera, a lot of the people that we're talking about are more of the younger bloods here. FRC God and Fasheko, they're putting on a show. They've been a lot of fun to watch. And it almost feels like an all-star game here because so many big names in the Paladin scene, and then you're fighting for something important, sure, but I don't know if it's as important as our next matchup with, obviously, who plays Na'Vi first. That not looking like a good entrance into the World Cup.
That's what we should call it, not losers.
Yeah, who
match
plays Na'Vi
25,
first? Yeah.
Staying away from the guillotine here that Na'Vi have evolved into. Full deployable Nightmare shoutouts here.
It's
a lot
flawless.
of extra health bars on the battlefield's distractions. Get them out of my face. Ares pops through a couple of clones. 1 minute on the clock here. Trying to build a couple of ultimates. Dome Shield is a big part of the team fight. Illusory Rift is a huge part of the team fight for Fnatic. And without those tools, they're unlikely to hit the gas.
And I really think that, you know, Bugsy's in a decent lineup. He's not in a great one, and he's done very well. I think that as the Barrack, he's a little bit outgunned. Obviously, I think if you have combustibles hitting onto him, it's way more pressure, but he's got a lot of areas where threats can show up, and he's trying to really create space. But that's an early Dome Shield, Nick. How do you feel about that one?
It has to be early, I think, in this. When you have a Nara, and honestly Ruckus too, that can just walk under your Dome Shield and kill you. If you're waiting to pop this at like 25% HP, you're going to get killed every time.
But they pulled back, and now it means that they can go forward because they have a man advantage. That is the Ashe ultimate from Fnatic now. It's 2 ultimates, and they're at 20 and 35 seconds respectively. There is not enough time to charge them back up for next round, so Fnatic will go without those. But this round is not over.
Man, and I almost want to say SSG, just chill. Or maybe they,
Did you win that already?
They end up going here. If there's an easy pick on either side, sure, things could change. But Fnatic are without 2 big resources on the objective. A lot of this is going to come down to Fasheko's Dragon Punch.
And I don't mind using an Ice Storm there because that's your pretty low-value ultimate that you could see if you can maybe build some room on. And they, with a blink, can still make things interesting. Up on the high ground, but he's not going to be able to finish that off.
They wanted to put this set away.
Yeah, they did. They felt it.
They felt it. They used Seismic Crash there as well. I don't like the call from SSG. The long game here, the safer play for sure. They went for the throat, and they missed. Now resources are somewhat equalized here going into the final round.
Yeah.
Both of the frontline utility ultimates, the things that make it possible for this Fnatic draft to have a prayer against Inara on the objective are not up, and that's a big part of it. But Fasheko's Dragon Punch is here, I think, to try and even those scales.
And the way that they're actually fighting, the impulse is working. It is working. The way Ares is taking this lower ground is giving him a lot of angles to kind of splash the damage around and not only get information, but actually truly make meaningful damage. It allowed FRZ God to clean up quite a bit.
One thing I will say is when you run when you maybe need that innate anti-heal on your squad a little bit more, when you're running a blast shot loadout, you know, you have that cooldown involved. Might be something he's going for. Small potatoes, though. This is a big moment. Dragon Punch lands, immediately traded out.
But Unbelievable also gets Ares. That's the big one. Now, who can respond? If they get Jera here, that's big. Oh, what a dimensional link by the man himself. Unbe in the back line. No assert dominance, but he has certainly asserted his dominance on the front line for FNATIC.
There it is. Unbelievable. Shoulder bashing straight towards the keep. 60% already for FNATIC. SSG need to make a move here. They have 2 tools to use. There's one of them. Hexafire in the back line. I'm not seeing any kills in the kill feed. Tanner's hunting him down into the ice block.
Spying time. He is... No. No, he escapes. He escapes.
Slippery.
Oh, no, and Bittner wasted all the time in the world chasing him down. The Winter Witch, did she just pull one on the Scion of Al's Ico, and Bittner falls to the hands of FRZ God.
Oh, there's so many good moments happening right here, but we got to save them for the replays. FNATIC take it away. SSG. Oh, and the chaos, they lose sight of the objective, and FNATIC, Bugsy specifically, man, he sat there the whole time, being small, being barrack, and going unnoticed.
And you know, you thought maybe Bittner made the mistake that was going to cost the game, but it ends up actually working out because FRZ God is a huge part of the kills they were trying to clean up in those point fights, and he wasn't able to be a part of it.
Definitely, man. So much time wasted there. And then again, the big disengage on a tenor as well. He hits his Enlightenment, but again, it doesn't get any kills. Big plays from either side, but not resulting in big, big moments. FNATIC kind of quietly will snipe that one away.
Well, fantastic, fantastic games. It was a blast to watch these two. A privilege, I'll say, as a Paladins esports fan. Let's send it back to the desk to wrap it up. Still one more set for the day, though, as we head into the losers finals matchup coming up.
Well, if that doesn't get you more amped for the World Championship, I have no idea what can, because that is the caliber of play that we're expecting, right? Coming into it. I mean, those are the 2 best teams that have come out of this LAN, and we're adding 4 best teams that we've seen, or that we haven't actually gotten to see since the fall split, as well as 2 more teams that we're about to see go up against each other. I mean, that was everything that you could have wanted it to be, except if you're a Spacestation fan, them not getting the win. But I mean, every single moment of that game was
down to the wire, dude. Down
So
to the
close.
absolute wire. I mean, God, goodness me, bees. First of all, bless Bugsy for bringing up Barrack's win rate. That's the redeemer. But also just, this provides like a whole nother layer of depth to the earlier Mouse Space Station matchup we saw up where we thought, wow, the Mouse Sport is just like, are they going home this early? And then Space Station come out second siege from this tournament. This is an international team which didn't perform too well in the past LAN. They performed lights out previously, but then just didn't show up in the summer. And now they've come back in. Now they've come back in with a new member, and they're looking phenomenal.
Yeah, it definitely was a situation where we wanted to see whether Space Station was going to show up against some of the stronger teams. And I don't think we can in any way say FNATIC played poorly in this game.
Oh, no.
So, by all means, Space Station really did show up.
Absolutely.
And they played phenomenal this entire tournament.
I mean, my 3 notes that I took for that game were specifically listing certain players, on champions, of course, that they're normally able to play, but the ones that you would expect to be good. Sadak being insane on the Ruckus, FRZ God being crazy on the EV, and, of course, Fisheko on the Drogos, who I think, for a long time, especially early on, was part of the reason there was a even fight back from FNATIC and able to get to the point where they felt comfortable.
Yeah, this was absolutely, it was a battle of 2 things, right, for me. It was less about the front line this game apart from that very last fight. First and foremost, it was a battle of the blasters, but I felt like this Leon pick, this is the incredible juke. This is Blink, missed the Valor. That's the confirmation kill shot. Breaks line of sight. Still not enough to win the game, by the way. But overall, Battle of the Blasters was a really big thing, right? And then secondarily, it was also the battle of this Cassie versus the Leon. And that felt like much more of the silent battle, folks. It felt like much more of what was going on beneath the surface. And all of a sudden, it was Ares gets a double kill in the kill feed. Bittner comes in with a double kill in the kill feed. Whilst we're watching all this crazy Ice Disguise play go on, there's also this just reliable, direct damage coming through underneath everything else.
Most certainly. I mean, Ares and Bittner both played phenomenally in that game as well.
I mean, there were so many moments that were, I mean, very similar to what we just saw. I don't think we've seen any crazy jukes like that before, but a lot of moments where you could see one of the blasters, this one actually going to your MVP, which was Fisheko. But the rocket shots as well as the EV shots every now and then kind of having the fadeaway look where you know they're going to hit, or, and more often than not, seeing these players trade out with others because of that travel time.
So there are 2 things which you can also remark on when we talk about that style of play from Fisheko. First of all, great players, they don't snap to targets particularly fast, sometimes they snap away from targets because they know they're going to hit their shot, and then it's that adjustment to the next target which is super critical. Second of all, Fish Echo, recognizing that the Ruckus is a really big threat here, and the Inara, recognizing that they don't have to really spread much anti-heal around, takes a loadout without Masterful. It's not based around these resets. It's not based around the follow the scent Droggers for the anti-heal either. It's Fusillade Droggers. They've got a Ruckus that's standing still. Let me just hit him with a ton of damage straight on. And every time I do hit my Fire Spit, it helps reset my thrust cooldown just so I can stay up in the air longer and be more of a threat.
Especially versus the Ruckus who has to fall off on his shots. If the Dragos is too high up, you can kill him.
Who else is going to hit him? Cassie or Eevee, both projectiles. A masterful little ins and outs right from Fish Echo right there on Drogus, putting on an absolute clinic gore.
Well, we have the bracket to look at as well, so you can see what's been going on and what's been going through. Again, this was the team for the top 2. Actually, the bracket's going to turn out to be broken, so we won't be going to it. But the next one is going to be looking for third and fourth. I mean, I have a bracket right here as well.
Oh, so you got a digital bracket.
I have a digital bracket.
I have digital stats. I have analog stats. I have a bracket right here. It looks like we do actually have a bracket on screen as well. Coming in first seed then is FNATIC, your EU PPL third seed in this tournament. The Brazilian juggernaut team of Spacestation as well. Coming into this, having played less PGS games online due to no-shows than any other team. And then on the lower side of the bracket as well, Virtus Pro and SK Gaming. That's the match where Virtus Pro advance. Armada and Kanga. Kanga goes through. Virtus Pro and Kanga, the last 2 teams to decide seeding 4.
Ooh.
This is going to be an interesting one, but I'm rooting for Black and Orange here. They felt so consistent all day.
Well, I'm going to have to at least say one thing, and that is that the 2 colors are going to be orange and purple, and I went to Clemson, so those colors are my favorite. Either way,
Orange
it's going to be
and
very
purple?
interesting. That is the colors of the school.
Oh,
Either way,
sorry.
we have the interview ready with FNATIC as they confirm themselves now, not only first seed coming in, but first seed coming out of this tournament.
Congratulations, guys. We're here with FNATIC, Spitner, and Bugsy, of course. Not your first rodeo here at Worlds, but did you expect SSG to come out swinging that hard and 4-0 you on your map pick?
I didn't think it would be a 4-0 on our map pick, but it was a possibility. They seem to be really strong here.
So how good, I'm not going to talk about you guys for a second, because you won, congratulations, but how good is FRZ God really? Because there were some plays out there that everyone, I mean us, we were just marveling at.
I think it's about like 10 to 2 good. That's in reference to Fish Echo getting beat by FRZ God.
All right. Throwing a little hands here. I like it. It's been a great set, guys. I mean, one of the very few sets that has gone all 3 games. Obviously, I don't think you're expecting to get hit that hard on your map pick. But what were some of the keys to your success down the stretch? How did you wrestle back control after getting 4-0'd on Serpent Beach?
Well, on Serpent Beach, I think it was a little bit of draft because we drafted something we're not really used to playing, but we managed to pull out again and play our game.
What's the feeling? Because that's really what it's been about for me. What's the feeling of FNATIC right now? Because a lot of heartbreak, but you guys did what you needed to do. You took first place here. It's a land. You won this land. Is that giving you confidence going into next week?
I think it does. It gives us a confirmation that picking up Unbelievable after Teal stepped down was the right decision, and we're trying to improve every day.
All right, guys, congratulations on not only making it to DreamHack, but making it out as the top seed from the qualifying event. It's going to be fun to watch you guys square off against G2 in the first round, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.